What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and this video we are going to be unboxing the Dualsense controller. Now, this is going to be very, very different. My wife is actually recording this. I am holding it. We're going to go through a couple different things here, but I'm recording it after the fact. So very, very odd, different kind of video. But my God, guys, it's in my possession. I know it's in a lot of people's possession. Totally cool. We can all share this celebratory moment all together. But let's open this thing. The box, by the way, relatively small, looks fantastic. As you can see, I kind of ripped it with my knife. You'll also notice, and I guess disclaimer, there's a little blood. I don't know if YouTube's going to be okay with that, but I cut my thumb. You'll see that as it goes on. And then here we go. We're about to pull it out. I'm just going to gloat about it until we actually get to see this thing in the video. It's so cool to have this thing in the house. It's going to be even bigger and cooler to have the PS5 when it actually comes. Again, we're very, very close from it. And here you go. We're unwrapping it. I'm taking forever. You can notice now the blood on my thumb. And you got to get the wrapping, by the way, just right, because if you don't do it right, it's going to be some sort of curse on you. But there it is, the Dualsense controller. I think phenomenal. Honestly, I've said it before. This is, and people have said it before too, this is the most next-gen thing about next-gen. It looks absolutely fantastic. I'm pretty impressed with it. We'll start to talk about it, and you'll start to see as I press the buttons. It is very reminiscent of an Xbox controller. There's no way around it. The D-pad and the X, circle, triangle, square buttons all feel a bit like thicker, like they need to be pushed in further, basically, which is pretty, I would say, very different than what we've already gotten. Obviously, they have a more like glossy white look to it. We've talked about this before too. The actual like triggers, they are very different. When you're laying it down, you can see the jack that your headphone can go in. We're looking at the back of it now, right, with the plug. Now, you can't use the cord that you could use or you have used for the PS4 controller, the DualShock 4. You can't use that for this one. For whatever reason, a different cord. I felt like I knew that, but then when I actually was looking at it, I was like, oh, the cord actually doesn't fit. But here I am testing the triggers, and L1, R1 feels pretty much the same. I wouldn't say, and you'll see it later, I compare the DualShock to the DualSense. L1, R1 is relatively the same. The L2, R2, you can totally feel... You can feel the curve to it, just like you can feel kind of the curve on the DualShock, but there does seem to be a little bit more pressure. It feels like you're going in a bit more. Again, very, very reminiscent of the Xbox controller, and that's something we'll talk about later. And then we have this. Obviously, this is one of the coolest features, I think. It's the Sony logo, or the PlayStation logo, when you press it, and then it lights up, that little light in between. So remember, this does not have a light bar. I'm a big fan of the light bar in the DualShock controller in general, but this one doesn't have it, but still it lights up blue in the two sides to represent or to connect with the PS5. When we turn the PS5 on, obviously we're going to have the sides of the PS5 light up as well. I think right there I was telling you, or I was trying to say, like when I was recording it, the touchpad is pretty much exactly the same. It is a lot thicker up there, like where you plug in the cord to charge, whether it be to your PlayStation, or I guess, if you're doing the docking or the charging station, it's going to be different, but it's much thicker in the back, way thicker. And also the two sides of it, where you're actually going to place your hand to hold on the controller, which I'm doing right here. My wife is actually, now it's my wife's turn to mess with it, and she's having a lot of fun with it. But where you're putting your hand on the sides, it's a lot thicker than what we have with the PS4 controller. Overall, this is a much bigger controller. It's a much thicker, it's a much wider, it's a much heavier controller. Again, really, I probably should have in this video, which I didn't, I'm sorry about this, I should have compared it to the Xbox controller as well, because like looking at my Xbox controller now as I'm recording the voice work, it looks very similar. It's got that similar thickness to the two sides of it, or again, those longer parts that you're holding on. There's, by the way, the zoom in on the PlayStation logo, which looks really cool. And there's that button underneath, which they said, I think, can mute your mic. So remember, you can hear, as soon as somebody joins your party, you can talk directly into the DualSense. You don't need to put in the mic, and you can do that. You're supposed to obviously put in the mic later, but you can talk to it, and then if you press that button, it'll mute you. So that's a really cool feature as well. And then here's the last part of the video. We'll start to wrap it up here. Just kind of comparing again. L1, R1, very, very similar. L2, R2, a bit different, but still has kind of that signature look, which was just brought, upon by the new DualShock 4, basically, right? And by the way, I never said the analog sticks. Analog sticks are actually almost entirely the same. I really notice next to no difference with that. But here you go. You can see them, right above and below each other. Definitely thicker. Definitely much thicker. Definitely definitely a little bit bigger overall. Again, mimicking the Xbox One, but I'm completely fine with that. I feel like it's okay to say one controller does some things better, another controller does other things better. I actually do prefer the DualShock to the Xbox controller, but overall, I'm a big fan of both, and I think they both do things, in a very, very good way. There's the last check right there. You can see, again, like kind of how thick that top part is without the light bar, and that's pretty much it. So I'm extremely happy to have this in my possession. If you guys like this stuff, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. We will do more of this stuff for the PS5 when I actually get my hands on the PS5 and go from there, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.